Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of the CBL X's and O's podcast for season 2023. I've got Reese Hamwriting joining me again today, and we're sitting down to review what was round 8 in the Gippsland conference. And it was an exciting round of basketball, Reese. We had ladder-defying games, and we now have our top 4 for the Gippsland conference all done and decided.
Yeah, last round of the season did not disappoint. Some really close games. All the teams keeping their, had a lot of double headers too. For some of them, and some of them had to keep their chances alive on the Saturday night, and some got there, some didn't. It's I can't wait to dissect it all. Top 4 finally, all decided. So let's get into it.
Starting Saturday night in the men, Traralgon hosted Warragul in what was a great contest, and Traralgon were able to get over the line in the end with a 4-point victory.
Yeah, I was there to watch that one, and what a game! Back and forth, no one really hit strides. Warragul had the first half pretty much there. I thought, wow, they're playing some really great basketball right now, and really running away with this. But Traralgon in that third quarter just went, no, we're coming back, and they ended up building a 4-point lead going into the fourth quarter and just never stopped from there. And, that ended up being the difference, going into to the end of the game. And look, two teams that desperately needed a win, following on the results later that, night or Sunday. And look, Traralgon put their worries at ease by getting the W in this one. Mason Porcali leading the T-Birds where they had multiple scorers. He had 17 and Cody Tibbles had 17 as well. For the Warriors, both of these players played really well on the day, and Murray Myers with 22 and Marco Coolis with 20.
And Southern Penn travelled down the highway to take on Lakes Entrance in what was a battle of the teams that are featuring down the bottom of the ladder. And Southern Peninsula were able to rack up their second win for the season.
Yeah, very tight, close game. Came down to the wire last quarter, and Southern Penn walked away, with the W. And Patrick Ramsey and Jake Wilson shared 21 apiece, to really boost their, the Sharks and that encounter. And, for the Pelicans, couldn't quite get there on that second win. I know that's what they were aiming for coming into this one, but just weren't able to get the chocolates. Andrew Malcolm with 18 and Chris Fields with 16 to finish out.
And Maffra hosted Currumbara Saturday night in what turned into a spectacular game. This game went into overtime, and Byron Sanderman, 39 points come up the goods, with Maffra beating the Wildcats by 7 points.
Yeah, everyone loves free basketball, and obviously Maffra and Currumbara did as well. So, really physical contest from what I heard, and, they both weren't given an inch. Obviously, Maffra needed that game to win to fool them and keep them alive. Barrow were certainly not going to let that happen without a fight, as we know. And look, Byron had a massive game. Must have had Sam's secret stuff for that game, and really, really was a force. 39 points is a massive, phenomenal effort to do. And he had some great support, and Marcus Cope with 14. And then, just for the Wildcats, we had Matt Canal with 23 and Flynn Matera with 23 as well. But, just a really good win by the Eagles.
Wonthaggi travelled across to Cardinia Life to take on Pakenham, and they had 2 boxes they needed to tick this weekend, and that was to win both games to lock themselves into the top 4. And Saturday night, Jet Garnham and Will Mortimer combined for a total of 66 points, which ensured the Coasters got the victory and ticked that first box against Pakenham.
Yeah, as you just mentioned, important games for everyone nearly in that top 5, top 6 going into the round. And Warriors just couldn't get it done. Wonthaggi came there and really put their authority on it. They needed to win that one as well. And they certainly did that. Jet Garnham continuing his really impressive season with 35, and obviously Will Mortimer's been a very quiet achiever with 31. And yeah, for the Warriors, we had Mason Moon with 22 and Luke Rawi with 20.
Sunday, it was Moe's time to take the court in their last game of the regular season, trying to hold their undefeated record for the season. And they took on the Southern Peninsula Sharks, in which they gave a pretty tough fight. But in the end, it was Moe that were able to run out the victors.
Yeah, Moe got a bit of a shock. I think at halftime when I checked in, it was all tied up. So I think obviously it didn't matter for Moe whether they win. Obviously you stay undefeated. If they lost, you lose one. It is what it is. They ain't moved from first. For Southern Penn, obviously they'll just chase some more wins as much as they can to finish out their season. And yeah, Thomas Portbury and Austin Shelley combined for 60, 30 apiece. And really, just put away the Sharks in this game. And, credit to Jake Wilson, had a career, a season high or a career high and 32 points for the, for the Sharks, and Patrick Ramsey as well supported very heavily with 27. So, just a great contest, and Moe undefeated premiers for the regular season, should I say.
Morwell took on the Sales Sonics, in which they were able to defend their home court and got the win by about 9 points. And experienced players in Jesse Bowe and Jordan Canavan obviously did the job to make sure the young and upcoming Sonics got the L.
Yeah, Morwell, definitely round out I think a successful season. To their credit, they've been competitive all year. When you look at the ladder and you only see 3 wins, and you go, that doesn't really tell all the story. So they played at home, finished off at home, which is always great, and they put on a great show. Jesse Bell 17, Jordan Cameron 14. Sonics, they may have only won 1 game, but the same thing as Magic, very competitive in majority of games, and just unfortunately wasn't their night. But young Harrison Rowley with 18 and Josh Blackway with 16 for the Sonics.
And then the last game of the regular season in the men, Wonthaggi welcomed Maffra over to Bass Coast to take on the Coasters, and Will Mortimer backed it up to ensure Maffra's season was packed up. It's done. It's dusted now.
Yeah, the Coasters showed them no mercy coming into this one, and really stamped that third or fourth position I think they ended up on, and really Will Mortimer's been a great competitor and player this season, and a quite achiever in a lot of ways, as I mentioned. And 26, and Alex Maxwell with 25 for the Coasters. He got up there, and they had multiple guys in double digits as well. And for the Eagles, their season's done, but Byron Sandman tried all he could, to back up a really long performance the night before, with a casual 15, and Thomas Scott with 13. Well done to the Coasters.
We'll just take a quick look at the ladder as it sits at the end of the regular season, and Moe have finished on top in first position, undefeated for the season, 10-0 record. So congratulations to Moe on their season, going through undefeated. We've then got Traralgon and Wonthaggi both with 8-2 records, and Traralgon got the top, or the second spot above Wonthaggi, with the head-to-head classification getting them above. We then had Warragul and Maffra both with 7-3 records, and Warragul slipped into the top 4, having that head-to-head classification against Maffra last week. Pakenham was 6th with a 5-5 record, and then we've got Carnbarra and Moore both with 3-7 records. Again, head-to-head split there. Saw Carnbarra shuffle above, and then we've got Southern Peninsula, Sale, and Lakes Entrance to round out our season 2023 season. So our top 4 teams have been finalised, and we're in for a cracker semi-final games next week.
Yeah, Moe Warragul, is the first one. Both got a lot of history. a lot of history, and that's going to be a really really good one. You can't really pick the part. They're both so talented in many ways and so tough in many ways, and that's going to be a one to keep an eye on for sure. And but one faggy gets another crack at Traralgon. And Traralgon only played them only 2-3 weeks ago. And they scathed away and got the win. But I'm sure one faggy's ready to go to try and knock Traralgon out, and we may potentially see a new champion on the horizon. So, but other than that, Matt, to have 5-6 teams really compete for a top 4 spot, you can't script it any better. So it just shows how close it was coming up to the last round.
Certainly cannot script it. And let's have a look into the women's competition. And Southern Penn travelled down to Lakes in what was a bottom of the table clash, and Southern Penn were able to come out the victors, getting their first win for the season.
Yeah, that's what it's one of those things. You leave best to last, as they say. And no, well done to the Sharks there. Yeah, they got it done. Really young group that's been competing all season, toughing it out. Same as Lakes as well. And Southern Penn were just better on the night. And they had Brianna Pierce with 12. And Shaylee Higgins with 9. And then for the Pelicans, we had Kayla Dunstan and Chloe Watson with 10.
And Maffra welcomed Canberra into their home court on Saturday night. And look, Maffra had 2 games this weekend, and they needed to get one victory, tick one box to have that opportunity to make the top 4. And unfortunately, Saturday night, they played Canberra top of the table. And they couldn't tick the box on Saturday night, going down by just under 20 points.
Yeah, that's right. Maffra really needed that win to stay in touch, and unfortunately just wasn't their night. Canberra obviously coming off a loss in the previous round or the round before, and still trying to gain that momentum going into playoffs. And just Crystal Arneson with 16, and Tyler Unwin and Alana Arneson with 13 apiece. Really did the damage for the Wildcats. And for Maffra, we had Sienna Wine with 25 and Emerson Connolly, who continues her solid season with 19.
Pakenham hosted Wonthaggi in what we would have probably nearly considered one of the games of the round in the women this week. And the McRae sisters have done the job for Wonthaggi to get them over the line, and unfortunately, that ended Pakenham's season right there.
Yeah, it certainly did. Wonthaggi came in and they knew what they had to do. Going to Pakenham as well, which is always the hardest thing to do, and just really dominated the game. Really chipped away and got it done. The McRae sisters, back in solid form. Alana with 22 and Grace with 19 did all the damage for the Coasters, and for Pakenham just wasn't their night. Their night. And Stella O'Loughlin with 15 and Ebony Sands finished with 12. So they sent the Pakenham back home and stay there, and Coasters advanced through.
Sunday, Traralgon hosted Warragul in what was the WNBL curtain raiser game. And they Traralgon finished their season in stellar form, shooting 100 points in that game. And I guess Lauren Tuplin shooting 27 was a huge contributor for the T-Birds.
Yeah, really good win for Traralgon to go into, finals with. And Lauren Tuplin's been quite quiet this season, and just as recent really starting to pick it up. So 27 points, had a really big outburst that game, and really lifted their spirits in terms of fitting in the Traralgon system. And Sienna Pruvatera had 18. She played really well as well. And for Warriors, just an up and down season. Just couldn't really find their rhythm. But they unfortunately bow out of the season, not making finals. But Beck Orwin with 19, who had a really stellar performance as the head juggernaut for the Warriors, and Jamie Chapman with 13.
Moe took on the Southern Peninsula Sharks, who were coming off that win from Saturday night, but unfortunately they travelled back to Moe and they couldn't get over the line, going down by 44 points against the Meteors, and that win sort of snuck Moe into the top 4.
Yeah, Sharks were hoping for 2 for 2, and potentially even be that team that puts a dagger in Moe's chances too, and just couldn't carry it over from Saturday night, and unfortunately just met the wrath of Moe at the moment. They've been in great form the last couple of games. Danielle Davies with 20 points. She was a bit quiet, the past few weeks, and she just come out and just went bang. And, Piper Albert with 16, which is always tough to, stop. She's been in stellar form. And, for the Sharks, though, Zara Fabrics with 19, and Shay Lee Higgins with 6.
And Morwell took on the Sale Sonics in Latrobe Leisure Mall, and Emily Scaldi's has shot 29 points, which is a massive outing for her and the Magic team.
Yeah, Southern Utah commit, really put in the work. And, look, she had 29 and Keely Phillips backed her up with 23. But what a season for the Morwell women. They didn't make playoffs, but they played some, really entertaining basketball and so close and so many encounters. So I'm sure that they're very happy with their inaugural season. And, for the Sonics, same as Warragul, bit up and down, and everything like that. And they competed everywhere they went, so just unfortunately it wasn't their night. And, but for the Sonics, we had Brooke Kelly with 14 and Dish Centro with 8.
And the last game of the regular season is what shaped and finalised our top 4. So we had our game of the round between Wonthaggi, who hosted Maffra, and it all come down to 6 points. Wonthaggi got the win, ended Maffra's season, which was huge. Maffra had to win one of their 2 games this weekend, and they went 0-2, unfortunately, to spiral out of finals.
Yeah, you got to feel for that. You're so close, and you just need to close out those games. And just unfortunately, you get done on the most convincing game and the most important game. And Wonthaggi, again coming into some really great form, coming in the finals, and 6 points of difference. Could have went either way. And for the Coasters, Gemma Thomas, 20 points. And Eva Garnham, it was quiet last game. Definitely came in with support with 15. And, for the Eagles, we had Paige Brittle with 21 and Emerson Conley with 15 to round out Maffra.
Now let's look at our ladder at the end of the season. We've got Currumbara and Traralgon sitting up top, both with 9-1 records. And Currumbara's got that head-to-head split on Traralgon, so they finish on top. Traralgon finish second. Wonthaggi sits third with an 8-2 record. Rounded out the top 4 is Moe with a 7-3 record. So that's our top 4 for season 2023, and them 4 teams will progress to the semi-finals next week. We then had, biting at the heels, Pakenham and Maffra, both with a 6-4 record, and Pakenham obviously having the head-to-head with Maffra. Morwell, 4-6 record, then followed by Warragul, 3-7. Sale 2-6, Southern Penn 1-9, and Lakes Entrance rounded out that ladder 0-10 record for the season. It's been quite a sensational season. We've got 6 teams there that were all still battling for finals come the last round. This has probably been one of the closest women's competition we've seen in a few years in the Gippsland Conference.
Yeah, it just shows how much great talent we've got around Gippsland right now in the women's space, and, it comes with success of, Gippsland United winning a Division 2 championship in Big V, and it just seems to be flowing on, which is great. It's great to see it across everywhere. But man, what a top 4 we've got. Currumbara, Moe, round 2. Moe's the only ones being able to get them so far, and they get another crack, for a spot in the grand final. So that's going to be definitely one of the games to watch for this week, this coming round of finals. And look, Traralgon, Wonthaggi, it's going to be interesting, Matt, how this all plans out. Traralgon are very much there. If they can get that win and they go to a grand final, and it's going to be a one to watch, especially the winner out of Currumbara and Moe. So it's going to be an interesting first round of finals.
That's it. That's our round 8 review in the Gippsland Conference. And at the end of our regular season, we now move into our final series, which starts this coming weekend. It's going to be spectacular. We'll jump on a call later this week, Reese, to preview what will be the semi-finals in the Gippsland Conference. So for our fans, viewers, and listeners at home, stay tuned for that preview to drop later this week.